just want to share a quick message with you guys, something that's been unfolding for the last 2-3 weeks. And then I'd like us to get into worship after that, if we could. For those of you that heard a previous message of mine about sonship and standing up, which was based on Isaiah 60 verse 1, "Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you." What the Lord showed me back then was that it was time to rise as sons. But what He also showed me is there is a way for the enemy to hold us back. He can hook into us and hold us back. And what He showed me was that it was the brokenness in our hearts that He could latch onto to hold us back. Now, at the time, God showed me quite a few things. He showed me how it all worked, actually. How the brokenness can be used as a hook to hold us back. And it was quite amazing for me. And I actually thought, wow, because I know this now and I understand it, I'm not going to fall for it, right? But, not to give the enemy credit, but he did manage to hook me. Despite the knowledge that I had, he knew how to hook me, he knew how to hold me back. And sadly, he did so quite effectively. So, what's been unfolding over the last few weeks is a bit more detail, right? It is time to stand up as sons. It is time. But I think a few of us, me included, have tripped up in some ways, and there's some things that need to be clarified. Alright? So this is a reasonably short message today, but I'm hoping to share with you guys what the Lord has shown me. We do have two identities, right? Nothing new. You've got your worldly, earthly identity, and you've got your kingdom identity. Your identity as a son, right? And they are both you, right? The problem is that one identity can influence the other, okay? One identity is your dominant identity, and it can hold back the other identity, okay? And that is through brokenness. We've grown up. Most of us have, we've lived a good, solid life. Our earthly identity is our dominant identity. Unfortunately, brokenness is a part of that. Okay? And although we've learned so much stuff, we've learned so much about the kingdom, we've learned so much about sonship, we've been unable to step into it because of the brokenness. The brokenness, our earthly identity, dominates over our kingdom identity. What we've inadvertently done is we've subjected our kingdom identity, our identity as sons, to our brokenness. Okay? And because of that, we don't, we live our lives day to day. We might be sick, we might be struggling, we might be depressed, unemployed. Whatever the case may be, we look around us, nothing feels right, nothing looks right, so I don't feel like a son. So the logical thing we do is pursue God. When things come right, when things look good, I'll step up. So what we do, again, we subject our kingdom identity to our earthly one. And the earthly one dominates. Because I don't feel good. I'm not a son. How could I possibly be a son and be depressed? How could I possibly be a son and struggle to find a job? Right? We subject our sonship, our divinely appointed sonship, to the brokenness of this identity. And it's just wrong. It's wrong. Sonship is not conditional on anything. It's given to us. It's a gift. It's yours. Take it. It doesn't matter whether you've got a job or not. It doesn't matter if you're sick or not. Alright? Take it. Here it is, right? I'm loath to use pop culture references in a church, in a sanctuary. But sometimes they get it so right. I've got to jump on it. So, you guys are all aware of Superman. Superman's got his cloak and his cape. Alright? On top of that, he wears his suit because he's a reporter. Right? He's got two identities, right? His real identity is hidden. It's hidden. It comes out when necessary. But he always wears his suit. Okay? It's the same for us. We are sons. But as Paul says, we're also, we have tents. We wear our tents. And that is what clouds the sonship. It's under that our sonship is buried. Alright? And what we have to do is simply take off that tent. Take off the brokenness. Alright? The brokenness, not the brokenness, the broken identity. It can simply be pulled off. See, what we often try to do is we try and understand things, we try and figure it out. How's this all going to work? How are we going to step into sonship? Given that this is happening and that is happening and that is happening. See, the moment you try and understand things and try and work it out, you are trying to negotiate things with your broken worldly identity so that your sonship can emerge. Okay? You cannot negotiate with your brokenness and your earthly identity to let sonship emerge. It won't happen. It's going to take decades. You're going to go around in circles. Nothing's going to happen. You can't subject your sonship to your brokenness. You can't negotiate with your brokenness. And that's what we try and do when we understand stuff. Understanding stuff comes from brokenness. We try and understand things because we've been hurt, we've been damaged. We try and understand things so that we can minimize the pain, so that we can scrutinize everything we do to protect ourselves. Understanding stuff is a defense mechanism. We defend ourselves against further pain, further damage. But in the process, we also defend ourselves against God. We defend ourselves against His purposes in our lives. We end up defending ourselves against the destiny He has for us. So understanding doesn't work. And it's something we need to stop. Okay? Understanding in its own context is a good thing. I'm not going to put it down. But it can't be a stumbling block. Okay? When it comes to stepping into into sonship, we can do that without having to understand things and figure things out. Okay? It's simply like putting on a jacket. You don't try and negotiate with your brokenness. You don't try and understand anything. You simply step into what you already have. Don't negotiate with your brokenness, your pains. Because here's the thing, guys. The mistake we often make is that we assume, sometimes it's even subconscious, we assume that life has to be good and we have to be walking in power and glory before we can become sons. And it doesn't work. That's not how it works. We can be broken people and we can give ourselves permission to be broken and still step into sonship. Alright? I will say that when that happens, a lot of your issues will be resolved. But nothing will ever get resolved from a position of brokenness, which is actually a position of victimhood, which is actually a position of accusation against God. You've let me down. Why aren't you helping me? Help me so I can become a son. That is not biblical at all. Alright? Romans 13:14 says, put on the Lord Jesus Christ. Alright? It doesn't give you a 12-point plan. It doesn't give you in-depth explanations, how to rationalize everything, how to understand everything. Just do it. It's the same way. Just put on a jacket. You're a son. Put it on. Become a son. Don't worry about the brokenness. Don't try and figure it out. Just put it on. Put it on. Put it on. Every day. Put it on. Put it on as many times a day as you can. Put it on when you feel bad. Put it on when you're looking for work. Put it on when you're sick. See, the thing is, we so often try and get to a point where, we pray, we declare, we study, we worship, and these things are not bad. But we try and force ourselves to believe that we're a son. Alright? We think we'll do enough. Eventually we'll believe it and we'll become it. The thing is, it's already yours. Sonship is yours. Alright? Put it on. And you see, the thing is, when you put it on and you discard your brokenness and your pains, and I'm not minimizing that. There's pains that need to be healed. There's brokenness that needs to be dealt with. I'm not putting that down. But I'm saying don't let it dictate over who you really are. Alright? Put it to one side. Don't talk to it. You talk to it. This is what it's going to tell you. Don't do anything. Go home, turn on the telly, get a nice meal, slip right into your comfort zone. And don't worry about anything else. Right? That's what your brokenness is going to tell you. Don't get hurt. Don't step out. It's dangerous. You're going to get hurt again. You can't negotiate with brokenness. You can't negotiate with pain. You put it aside. Let God deal with it. Let Him deal with it later. Put on your jacket. Step into sonship. Do it by faith. Stop trying to believe. Stop trying to do all these things. Just put it on. Just do it. And what is ultimately going to be really transformational is the experience. Once you start experiencing sonship, that's going to transform you. It's going to change you. Okay? This ongoing battle to step into sonship is not necessary. Just take it by faith. Step into it. Alright? Now the thing is, what God showed me as well, is that we do have the two identities, and those two identities are based on two different things. Our worldly, earthly identity is based on what we know, we understand, but it's also based on our pain and our brokenness. Okay? But there is another part of us that is actually a son. It is actually light. There's a part of us that knows completely that you're a son of God. It knows it. It's not in question. It simply knows. It's truth. Right? So you have these competing parts of you. Right? And whichever side you sort of dwell on or come into agreement with is the part of you or the identity that's going to dominate. So instead of wrestling with the broken part of you, trying to encourage it to believe it's a son, put it aside. Come into agreement with the part of you that already knows who you are. Right? Step into agreement. Step into that identity. And rise up and rise up. And leave the brokenness. I'm not saying leave it behind. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying don't let it hold you back. Because it's possible to rise up as a son while you are broken. If you hang on to your brokenness and you allow that to hold you back, the enemy's got a hook. That's how the hook works. Alright? If you look at your brokenness to determine your sonship, the enemy's going to use that against you. He's going to hold you back. That's why you've got to release it. Release it. Yes, worry about it. Yes, seek the healing. Absolutely. But don't let it dictate over you. Don't let it rule you. Okay? You do need, we all do, we need to acknowledge that we are broken. That's not in dispute. But put it where it belongs, that brokenness, put it where it belongs, to the side. Okay? It will get addressed in due time. Give yourself permission to rise. Give yourself permission to rise without having to engage your brokenness. You don't have to talk to it. You don't. The moment you talk to it, it's going to pull you right back. That's the lesson that I've had to learn multiple times. Now, you're going to have to trust God with that brokenness. Leave it with Him. Alright? Don't worry about it. Don't let it hold you back. Because the other thing that God showed me is that although we have the two identities and they're rooted in different things, one identity is a natural one, the other one's a supernatural one. You cannot flow in the supernatural if you're hanging on to the natural. You can't. You can't do both. Alright? If you hang on to the natural while you try to operate in the supernatural, the natural will be like an anchor around your neck. Okay? You're going to be earthbound. You're not going to be able to rise, try as you might. Okay? You cannot look to the natural to qualify you as a son. Alright? I'll tell you what, like for me, I'm starting to understand this now, but when I wake up in the morning, every morning, I wake up depressed. Right? It's something I've got to fight my way out of every day. And I know what it is. That's coming up later. But, I lost my train of thought. That's it, okay. So I wake up depressed, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I don't actually feel like a son. I feel like the depressed guy who's just got out of bed. I need a coffee, right? You can't check in to your heart to tell you if you're a son. Because that's where your brokenness is in many cases. It's in your heart. Your heart needs tender loving care, it needs healing, needs restoration. But you can't get permission from your heart to rise up as a son. Your heart's not going to give you that permission. Okay? You have to go straight to the truth. You know you're a son. If you guys didn't know you were sons, I guarantee you, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be here. Right? There is a part of you that knows who you are. All you have to do is Come into agreement with it. You don't have to try and believe it, because then you're wrestling with your brokenness. All you have to do is remind yourself. Remind yourself, I am a son. I might be depressed, I might be, struggling, but I am a son. And I'm going to step into that sonship. Okay? Yeah. So don't try and think about it. Don't try and feel it. Don't try and rationalize it, work it out. Certainly don't go digging into the tree of knowledge to find answers. Just put it on. It's just like a jacket. It's actually really simple. It's so simple, in fact, it's elusive. It bypasses us completely because we're so used to working with all these details and all this deep theology. We miss how simple it is. It's so simple. All you have to do is do it. Alright? I mean, this is what came to me yesterday. In order to rise up as a son, this is going to sound silly. In order to rise up as a son, all you have to do is rise up.
Amen.
How simple is that?
Glory to God.
Yeah, that's it. No ifs, no buts, no 10-point lists, right? Yeah. That's it, guys. I just want to encourage you to separate from what you think, what you know, and what you feel, and just do it. Just do it. That's what I've got to do, and I just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, God does want us to succeed. He does want us to overcome, and overcoming, I think, is far easier than I think we're led to believe. Very often we make our problems far bigger than they really are, and we create our own mountains that we have to overcome. Right? No, not necessary. So what I want to do, guys, I hope that was clear enough for everyone. But what I want to encourage us to do now is just take a minute and make that first decision to step into sonship. Don't think about it. Don't think about how it works. Just do it. Imagine putting on a jacket. Right? Just put it on. Step into sonship. Make a conscious effort to leave your brokenness and your problems behind. Step into a son. And as we start worshipping, alright, let's get into worship. Do it as a son. Do it on with your new jacket. Okay? Put it on and worship as a son. Not as a broken human being. Let's worship as sons. And let that take you where it will. Okay? Let experience be your guide. Put it on and see what happens. Make a conscious effort to leave everything else behind. Okay? And let's worship. Let's really worship as sons, not as broken people.